My name is Robert Ashford. I'm 27 years old, and for most of my life, I believed fear was something simple, something predictable, a loud noise in the dark, a shadow that moves too fast, a story you hear and forget by morning. I used to think fear came in moments, sharp, sudden, easy to understand. I was wrong. Real fear doesn't come all at once. It builds, quietly, slowly. It seeps into your routine until the things that once felt normal start to feel wrong. And by the time you realize something is truly off, it's already too late. I work overnight shifts at a warehouse about 20 minutes outside of town. It's not a bad job. Repetitive, sure, but quiet, predictable. The kind of work where your body moves on autopilot and your mind drifts somewhere else. I actually preferred it that way. Less people, less noise, less chance for anything unexpected. I structured my entire life around that schedule. I'd wake up around 6 p.m., grab something quick to eat, maybe watch a bit of TV, then head out by 9, work until 4 in the morning, drive home, sleep by sunrise. Even on my days off, I kept the same routine. Consistency made everything feel controlled, and control meant safety. At least, that's what I told myself. And that night started like any other. Nothing unusual at work. Just the hum of machinery, the dull rhythm of conveyor belts, the occasional distant clatter of something falling. Hours blurred together the way they always did. By the time my shift ended, I was tired, but it was the normal kind of tired. The kind you don't think twice about. I clocked out at exactly 4 a.m. The air outside was cold. Not freezing, but enough to make you pull your jacket a little tighter. The sky was pitch black, heavy with clouds that swallowed even the faintest hint of starlight. The parking lot was almost empty, just a few scattered cars. Mine sat under a flickering light. I got in, started the engine, and began the drive home. The roads were completely empty. Not a single car passed me the entire way. No headlights in the distance. No movement. Just long stretches of dark road cutting through fields and patches of woods. There's something about driving at that hour, when the world feels like it's paused, like you're the only person awake. It's peaceful, but if you think about it too long, it becomes something else, something isolating. I pulled into my neighborhood around 4:15. Same quiet streets, same houses sitting far apart, each one surrounded by darkness. Most of the porch lights were off. No signs of life anywhere. That's when I saw it. A car, parked right next to my driveway. I slowed down without even realizing I was doing it. The headlights of my car swept across it as I passed. Old. Black. A sedan that looked like it had been sitting around for years. The paint was dull, almost matte under the weak light. All the windows were tinted, not just slightly, completely blacked out. I couldn't see anything inside. No silhouettes, no reflections, nothing. It was like the windows weren't glass at all, but something deeper, something that swallowed the light instead of reflecting it. I felt a slight tension in my chest. Not fear, not yet, just awareness. Because the placement didn't make sense. There was plenty of space along the road, plenty of open spots closer to other houses. But this car, it was parked right beside my driveway. Too close, like it was meant to be there, like it was waiting. I drove past it slowly, my eyes trying to adjust, trying to catch anything, any movement inside. Nothing, just darkness. I turned into my driveway and parked in my garage, but I didn't get out right away. I just sat there, engine idling, listening. There was no sound, no door opening, no footsteps, no engine starting, just silence. After a few seconds, I turned off the car. The ticking of the engine as it cooled felt louder than it should have. I glanced back one more time. The car hadn't moved. I told myself it was nothing. A visitor. A neighbor's guest. Someone who just picked a weird place to park. There were 100 logical explanations, so why didn't any of them feel right? I went inside, locked the door behind me, double-checked it, something I didn't usually do. The house felt normal, still, quiet, safe. I moved through my routine, grabbed a glass of water, checked my phone, turned off the lights. But before heading to bed, I found myself walking to the front window. Just to check, I pulled the curtain aside slightly. The street was empty. The car was gone. I didn't hear it leave. No engine, no tires on gravel, nothing. It was just gone, like it had never been there at all. I stood there for a moment longer than I should have. Something about that didn't sit right. But eventually, I let it go. Because again, nothing had actually happened yet. The next day passed normally. I slept. Woke up around 6 p.m., got ready for work. By the time I stepped outside again, the sun had already set. The air felt heavier that night. Not colder, just thicker somehow. I glanced instinctively toward the road. The car wasn't there. And I felt relieved, like whatever that was had just been a coincidence. Work that night felt longer than usual, slower. My mind kept drifting back to that car, the way it sat there, the way the windows swallowed the light. I tried to brush it off, tried to focus on the work, but something lingered in the back of my mind, a quiet thought I couldn't shake. What if it comes back? When my shift finally ended, I didn't waste any time getting home. Same empty roads, same silence. But this time, there was tension in it. Like the quiet wasn't peaceful anymore, like it was waiting for something. I turned onto my street, and my stomach dropped instantly. The car was there again. Same spot, same position, like it had never left. I slowed down even more this time. My eyes locked onto it, searching, waiting, expecting something, anything, but it looked exactly the same. Dark, silent, empty. Or at least, that's what it wanted me to think. I passed it, turned into my driveway, parked. But this time, I didn't go inside. Not immediately. I opened the garage door again and stepped out into the night. The air felt colder now. Still no sound, no wind, no distant cars, nothing. Just me and that car. I started walking toward it, slowly, each step deliberate. The gravel beneath my feet sounded too loud, like it was echoing. As I got closer, my eyes stayed fixed on the driver's side window, and that's when I thought I saw something, a movement. Inside, just for a split second, I froze, every muscle in my body locked in place. My heart skipped, then slammed hard against my chest. I stared, waiting for it to happen again, but it didn't. The window remained dark, still, unmoving. Maybe it was a reflection, maybe just my imagination, but the feeling that followed wasn't imagination, because something deep inside me whispered, "You weren't alone just now." I didn't get any closer than about 10 feet. That was as far as I could push myself. Even from there, I still couldn't see anything inside. It was like the car refused to reveal anything. Like it was hiding something on purpose. I pulled out my phone, took a picture of the license plate. The flash reflected briefly against the black surface. For a moment, I almost expected something to move again, but nothing did. I backed away, slowly, never turning my back to it, and went inside. Locked the door, checked every window. This time, I checked twice. An hour later, I looked again. The car was gone. Just like before, no sound, no trace. And that's when the feeling started to settle in. Something wasn't right. Not just strange, not just coincidence. Something was watching, waiting, learning. I thought the unease would fade. I thought I'd forget about it after a day or two. I thought I still had control over the situation, until the night it stopped being about a car, and became something much worse. I didn't sleep well that day. I told myself it was just because I was tired, or maybe I had too much caffeine before the end of my shift. But deep down, I knew that wasn't it. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that car, those windows, that moment. When I thought something moved inside, I kept replaying it, over and over, trying to convince myself I imagined it, trying to force logic into something that didn't feel logical. Eventually, I drifted into a shallow, restless sleep, the kind where your body shuts down but your mind never really does. I woke up around 6:45 p.m. The room was dim lit only by the fading light outside. For a moment, everything felt normal again. That strange feeling from the night before, dulled distant, like it had been part of a dream. I got up, stretched, and walked to the kitchen, made something quick to eat, turned on the TV, let the noise fill the silence. I didn't check the street right away. I didn't want to, because part of me already knew if the car was there again, I wouldn't be able to ignore it anymore. Around 8 p.m., I forced myself to look. I walked to the front window, pulled the curtain back slowly. The street was empty. No car. I exhaled without realizing I'd been holding my breath. Maybe that was it. Maybe whatever this was over. That night was my day off. Normally, I'd just stay inside, watch something, play games, let the hours pass until morning. But I felt restless, like staying inside wasn't a good idea, so I decided to go for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet, almost too quiet. Streetlights flickered in long stretches as leaving pockets of darkness between them. The kind of darkness that felt deeper than it should be. I walked my usual route, past the same houses, same empty driveways, same stillness. I barely saw anyone. Maybe one house had a light on. Another had a TV glowing faintly through the window. But overall, it felt like the entire neighborhood was asleep or gone. I kept thinking about the car, even when it wasn't there. It felt like it was, like the idea of it had planted something in my mind, a presence. After about an hour, I turned back toward my house. The closer I got, the more that uneasy feeling returned. My steps slowed slightly. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe, or something deeper. Then I saw it, and my chest tightened instantly. The car, parked in the same spot, again. I stopped walking, just stood there for a second, staring, because that didn't make sense. I had just walked the entire neighborhood, every street, every corner. There was no way I could have missed it, which meant it wasn't there when I left. It had shown up while I was gone. A cold feeling spread through my body, because now it wasn't just a coincidence anymore. It was timing, precise timing. I approached slowly. Each step felt heavier than the last. My eyes locked onto the windows again, still black, still impossible to see through. This time, I didn't stop. I walked right up to the driver's side window, close enough to see my own reflection, faintly staring back at me. I raised my hand, pressed it against the glass to block out the glare, leaned in, and looked inside. Empty, completely empty. No one in the driver's seat, no one in the back. No bags, no clutter, nothing. Just a hollow interior, still, lifeless. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't. It made it worse, because now there was no explanation at all. Who parks like that? And just leaves? Why here? Why every night? Why only when I'm around? I stepped back slowly, my eyes still scanning the interior, half expecting someone to suddenly sit up, or move, or appear, but nothing happened. I turned and walked back to my house quickly, faster than I meant to, locked the door behind me, and for the first time, I checked every room, closets, corners, windows, everything. It was empty. Of course it was. I told myself I was overreacting, again. I went to my bedroom, sat down on the edge of the bed, tried to calm myself. That's when I remembered something. My phone. I had left it charging while I was out. I picked it up, and that's when I saw the notification. My stomach dropped instantly. Motion detected. At first, my brain tried to dismiss it. Maybe a glitch, maybe a bug in the system. It had happened before, once or twice. But something about this felt different, heavier. I opened the app. There was a recorded clip, 60 seconds long, from one of the cameras. For context, I had one camera on my front porch. It only triggered if someone was right outside the door, and 3 inside, one in the living room, one in the hallway, and one in my bedroom. The notification didn't say which one triggered, just motion detected. I tapped the video, pressed play. The footage loaded, and my heart immediately started beating faster. It was my bedroom, the same room I was standing in. For the first 50 seconds, nothing happened. The room was still, exactly as I had left it. I almost laughed, relief starting to creep in, just a false alarm. But then, in the final few seconds, something moved. Fast, too fast, and right across the bottom of the frame. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. I replayed it, slower. There, a shape, a head, a shoulder, a person. My hands started to shake. The phone felt heavy, like I could barely hold it, because I knew exactly what that meant. Someone had been in my house while I was gone. And now I was standing inside it. The silence around me changed. It wasn't just quiet anymore. It felt occupied, like the air itself was watching me. I turned slowly, every instinct screaming at me to move faster, but I couldn't. I scanned the room, closet, corners, behind the door. Nothing. But that didn't mean anything anymore, because they had already been here, without me knowing. My heart pounded harder, louder, filling my ears. They could still be here, watching, waiting. That thought hit me all at once, and something inside me snapped into action. I needed to leave, now. I moved toward the door, each step careful, quiet. I reached the doorway, stepped into the hallway, and that's when I heard it. Movement. Behind me, inside the bedroom. A shift, a step, something real. My entire body went cold. I didn't think. I ran. Footsteps exploded behind me, fast, heavy, closing in. They were right there. I could feel it. Maybe 10 feet, maybe less. I sprinted down the hallway, nearly slipped on the stairs, caught myself just in time. The sound behind me didn't stop. Closer. Faster. I didn't look back. I couldn't. On the front door. That was all that mattered. I reached it, threw it open, and ran. Straight into the darkness outside. Branches scraped against my arms, leaves crunched under my feet. The night swallowed everything. I didn't stop, didn't slow down, didn't turn around, until eventually, the only sound left was my own footsteps. I thought I had escaped. I thought I had gotten away. But as I stood there in the woods, trying to catch my breath, something didn't feel right, because I couldn't hear him anymore. Not even footsteps, not even breathing, just silence. And somehow, that silence felt worse, because it made me wonder if he had really stopped chasing me, or if he simply didn't need to anymore. I stood there in the woods, bent over, hands on my knees, trying to breathe. The cold air burned my lungs. My heart was still racing, slamming hard against my chest, like it was trying to break out. But slowly, painfully slowly, the world around me came back into focus. The trees, the darkness, the sound of wind brushing through leaves, and the silence. That silence, it didn't feel empty. It felt watchful. I straightened up, forcing myself to listen. No footsteps, no branches snapping, no sign that anyone had followed me out here. But that didn't mean anything, because a few minutes ago, I was just as sure I was alone in my house. My hands were shaking as I pulled my phone out. I almost dropped it. It took me 2 tries to unlock it. I dialed 911. The operator answered quickly, her voice calm. Almost too calm. 911. What's your emergency? I opened my mouth, but nothing came out at first, just air. My throat felt dry, tight. There's someone in my house, I finally managed. I think he's still there. He chased me out. There was a brief pause. Then her tone sharpened slightly. Are you safe right now? I'm in the woods, across the street. I don't know if he followed me. Stay where you are. Officers are on the way. Do not return to the house. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Oh, okay. She kept me on the line, asking questions. Address, description. What I saw. I answered everything I could, but the truth was, I hadn't seen much, just movement, just enough to know someone was there. Minutes stretched longer than they should have. Every second felt heavier. I kept turning around, scanning the darkness, expecting to see something. Someone standing just beyond the trees, watching me. At one point, I could have sworn I heard something, a faint rustle. Off to my right, I froze, held my breath, listened. Nothing. But that didn't stop my imagination from filling in the gaps, from painting shapes in the darkness, from convincing me that I wasn't alone out there. Then finally, distant lights, red and blue, flashing through the trees. Relief hit me so suddenly, it almost made my knees give out. I stepped out from the woods, slowly raising a hand. 2 police cars pulled up near my house. Doors opened. Officers stepped out. I walked toward them. My legs felt weak, unsteady. One of them approached me. Are you Robert Ashford? I nodded. Yeah, that's me. You're the one who called. Yes. All right, just stay here. We're going to check the house. I watched as they moved toward my front door, flashlights raised, weapons ready. Part of me wanted to go with them, to see, to know, but another part of me didn't want to see anything at all. They entered the house. The door creaked open slowly, then disappeared inside. And just like that, I was alone again, standing outside, waiting. The minutes that followed felt unreal. Like I was watching everything from a distance, disconnected. Eventually, one of the officers came back out. He looked at me, his expression unreadable. He's gone, he said. Something in my chest dropped. Gone, he nodded. Yeah, no one inside. That didn't make sense. I shook my head. No, I heard him. He was right behind me. We believe you, he cut in calmly. But whoever it was, they're not there now. Another officer joined him. They exchanged a look, then turned back to me. Do you have any security cameras? The second one asked. That's when it hit me. My phone, the footage. Yeah, I said quickly. Yeah, I do. I have a video. I showed them, my hands still shaking as I pulled it up. They watched it, once, then again. Their expressions changed, subtly, but enough. That's him, I said quietly. That's the person in my house. The first officer nodded slowly. All right, this helps. I hesitated for a second, then added, I also took a picture of a car. They looked at me. What car? I told them everything. The past 2 nights. The way it kept showing up. Same spot, same timing. Then I pulled up the photo of the license plate. That's when things shifted. They took it more seriously, much more seriously. One of them called it in, reading the plate number over the radio. The other stayed with me, asking more questions, trying to piece everything together. And that's when I realized something I hadn't fully processed yet. This wasn't random, was it? I said. The officer didn't answer right away, but he didn't deny it either. 3 hours. That's how long it took. 3 hours of sitting in a police car, wrapped in a blanket someone had given me, watching the sky slowly lighten. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that figure in the footage, that split second, that presence. Then finally, They came back. The same officer stepped out of his car and walked toward me. We found him. My stomach tightened. He was still in the area, parked about 10 minutes from here. The car. That black sedan, I asked. He nodded. And I swallowed hard. Who is he? The officer exhaled slowly. Male, mid-20s. No prior record that we can see, but he hesitated. But what? He's got a lot of photos on his phone. A cold wave washed over me. What kind of photos? The officer looked at me, and for the first time, there was something in his expression, something heavy. Your house. My chest tightened. From outside, he continued. From different angles, different nights. I felt like the ground shifted under me. He also has photos taken through your windows. My vision blurred slightly. What? He's been watching you, the officer said. For at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I tried to process that, tried to understand it, but it didn't feel real. He had notes too, the officer added. Your schedule, when you leave, when you come back. Every breath felt harder now, because suddenly everything made sense. The car, the timing, the way it only appeared when I was there. He wasn't just watching the house, he was watching me. I thought the nightmare had reached its peak. But then one question hit me harder than anything else. How did he get inside? I asked. The officer didn't answer immediately. We're still trying to figure that out. I shook my head slowly. No, that's not possible. I lock everything, every door, every window. He nodded. I understand, but his tone, it didn't sound convincing. It sounded uncertain, and that's when a deeper fear started to form. Because if they didn't know how he got in, then there was something even worse to consider. Maybe that wasn't the first time he had been inside. Maybe it was just the first time I noticed. And even now, standing there in the early morning light, with police around me, with the man already in custody, I couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, in the quiet corners of that house, something had been left behind. Something unseen, watching, waiting, and I didn't know if it had ever really left. They told me I could go back inside later that morning. I said no. I didn't pack anything, didn't grab clothes, didn't even turn around to look at the house. A few days later, I moved out, just like that. Lease broken, things left behind. It doesn't matter. The police caught him, charged him, said I was safe. But here's the thing. I don't believe that, because a week after I left, I got a notification from my security camera app. I froze the moment I saw it. I hadn't even turned the system off yet. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't want to go back there to do it, but the alert was real. Motion detected. I stared at the screen for a long time before opening it. My hands felt cold. Then I pressed play. The camera was in the hallway, facing the front door. At first, nothing. Just an empty house, silent, still. Then, the bedroom door at the end of the hall slowly creaked open. I stopped breathing, because the police had already cleared the house. Days ago, the door opened just enough to reveal darkness inside. And then, something shifted in that darkness. Not fully visible, not clear, but enough. Enough to know someone was still there, watching. Waiting. And this time, it wasn't the man they arrested.